Hello and welcome back yet again to yet another episode of the BTP Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're doing fabulous. We're back with Tugrul as per our previous episode. And we're going to talk about some cool stuff today, next few days, and so forth and so on. It's going to be a few days of a few episodes of lots of goodies around. So, welcome back, Tugrul. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Never
Yeah.
been better. What about
Yeah,
you?
that's great to hear.
Mhm.
Not bad. It was a good day. Very productive. Lots of work to do though. And now weather was nice. I went for a walk. That was also good.
It's a bit
And
dark though. Like it's
yeah,
like
it's getting dark.
9 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah, we're recording this as of 9 p.m., which is good. Yeah. So how are you doing overall? Life is good. Life is treating you well.
Ah, yes. Work. And
Yeah.
what the Friday? So we are celebrating Happy Friday, yay! But not today, of course,
No,
unfortunately.
we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's exactly. So then we're
And then
gonna
on
have
Friday we look forward to Monday.
yes to celebrate Happy Monday.
That's right. All right. So today we're going to talk about a little bit about two topics which kind of go, I guess, hand in hand, at least in your story. And that is about initially about immigration as a whole. I mean, of course, you can share your personal story, but then immigration as a whole. What are the will you advise it on others? Will you tell others to immigrate? Let's start there. So, what are your thoughts on immigration? I then to break the ice a little bit to give the audience a little bit of a background. So, the reason we're talking about immigration is because the way I personally look at immigration is, um, immigration is basically an uprooting of your life. So you have to, first of all, have the courage to leave so many things behind. And I kind of look at it the Vikings way, if you will. I look at it as going after something different, something more, something better, something different. I think the different part is the key. And for the
As long
opportunity.
as you're not going to Valhalla, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I look at immigration. I feel like you're just seeking more opportunity, different opportunity, um, at a broad level. But what are your thoughts as a whole, and will you suggest it to others should they be in a position to be debating it?
Yeah, of course, I agree. I mean, it depends on where where you're immigrating to. I
Right.
mean, so when you're leaving so many stuff behind you, like your parents, your, I mean, whatever, like you're just leaving your friends, not only like a friends and parents, maybe you're leaving something that you love. I mean, your books, I mean, your car. You never know. I mean, who knows?
Right.
So you're leaving them for to build a better future. But
Right.
other than that, like there is no point. Or you somebody or something like somehow you should be forced to do that. I'm not considering that. That's a whole another story. So I mean, I can't say anything about it. If you're
Yep.
forced to immigrate, that's something. It's not an option for you. But
Yep.
as an option, if you're
Right.
immigrating, the whole idea is to go somewhere that you think that you can live better and with a better life, better conditions, anything. Like for example, in our side, like we don't have kids, but if we want to have kids, we want our kids to live in a place that they can be happy, they can live like they supposed to, not
Right.
like I mean, not they shouldn't work under like hard conditions, or they like they can work and work and work, but at the end, if they can't get anything and they're still like at the level of being poor and starving.
Mhm.
So that was the point that I mean,
Right.
so many countries around there, like people day and night are working, but at the end of the day, they can just living for not to die, to survive. They're just
Right.
surviving.
Mhm.
I mean, this is unacceptable because I mean, we are living this life once and just surviving it. We are not Indonesia. We are just not we are trying to build something for our
Yeah.
kids, because we have that complexity, we have that civilization,
Mhm.
we evolved, we have this complexity. I mean, so I agree with you at that point. So we came to Canada for that purpose, to live a better life,
Yeah.
to like make our dreams come true. Like I have lots of dreams and I want to make them real here.
Yeah.
And I know that this country allows me to do so,
Mhm.
as long as I have like a work permit, permanent residency, or like,
Right.
of course, like citizenship. I mean,
Mhm. Mhm.
something, authorization, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is hard. It is hard. Not this.
Absolutely.
Not everybody can do it. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking in my parents' shoes. Like they complain all the time, but they don't have that courage to leave everything and go somewhere else. Especially like because of the language barrier, of course.
Right. Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not
Well,
sure.
that's a
I'm
big
not
thing.
sure. Yeah, but I'm not sure. Like if my parents know how to speak English, for example, I'm still not sure they can leave everything behind and go somewhere to speak English. But this is the first step. This is the
Right.
first thing, the language barrier. I
At
mean,
least that provides an excuse at the
yes,
minimum.
yes. Who is gonna learn at this age? I mean, some people can graduate from university at
For sure.
70 years old, but I mean,
Yeah.
it depends from person to person, of course. And it's called a comfort zone, of course, for your parents.
Yeah.
They're happy. So anyway, but it's also full of challenges immigrating to somewhere. Like, okay, let's say that you already can speak a language of the country that you're immigrating.
Mhm.
Let's skip that part. Let's say that we all know that language, for example, here English. Then the next challenge is the culture, of course. So you're
Mm.
coming from a culture, mostly a different culture, some common things, of course, but some different things. It can sometimes get hard to use to it, learn it, but of course, uh, I mean, you should find a way to learn it. You should find a
Yeah.
way to have some friends. It is also a challenge to meet people, because I'm not talking about being young. I'm talking about like me, that I immigrated here like at around 30 years old.
Mhm.
So you know that, right? Like if you get older, becomes harder to find friends, or like
Sure.
have close friends. I mean, you become picky.
Yeah.
Um,
And you
it-
don't get those opportunities as often. For example, if you come at a university level or high school level or even earlier, well, then you get to build those relationships in school and then university and so forth. So that would be different. You're right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, also in university, I came as a postdoc here. Like I had we have people in the group like PhDs, master students. Okay, at the school, you're talk like having like a nice conversations. You're enjoying the talk, etc. But
Right.
when the day is over, everybody goes to home,
Yeah.
and you don't go out, even like a weekends. I don't remember that I called or somebody called me to let's go here. Like just happened rarely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I didn't call, or they didn't call, because we all like we are picky, or we already have some other friends, or we are just lazy, like
Yeah.
laying
Yeah.
down at home, and let's go watch this, let's go watch that. Like I mean, of course,
Yeah.
going out is something you don't prefer if you don't have a hobby outside.
Right.
So anyways, yeah, that were like I was lucky, of course. I came here with my wife, so I wasn't alone, and I know that I had friends who were like alone. They were like struggling with that. They were like
Mm.
sometimes depressing with that.
Right.
Um,
Makes sense.
this is something challenging for people, especially who are like immigrating by themselves. This can be challenging after like language barrier, because having friends is a bit hard. Next thing is, of course, paperwork, some governmental issues. For example,
those are awesome, right?
yeah, oh, amazing. It's full of like being anxious, full of about being anxious, like pulling nerves, like what's gonna happen? It's full,
Yeah.
you're just getting stressed, you're applying. For example, I came with work permit, so it was like a 1 year or 2 years at first. The first year was okay because I had 1 year more, but when like I'm
When
getting
it
close
pushes
to
against
my,
the deadline, yes.
oh yes, it's full of like anxiety. Okay, we have to apply, and you're waiting sometimes months, and you never know. Maybe you always have in back of your mind like, oh, what if they reject? What if I had to go back home after 1 year? Like this, even in 1 year, even imagine that. Like,
Yeah.
you're trying, because you're trying to build something here. You're trying to do something, and you want to, like, instead of thinking about this stuff, you want to focus on things about what you can do next. What is the next step? What should I do? But this, you do this at some point, but then when you are approaching the deadlines, you just stop doing that, and okay, what should I do? Like, we have to apply this, and we have to wait in response of, I hope we won't get rejected. Yeah, that's that kind of stuff. This is something challenging also, like in a mentally challenging.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't help you with that. So then you're looking for people who sponsored you to extend your contract, or look for another job that they can sponsor you to continue living here.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, my contract was extended by my employer. But it was 1 year, so that was full of challenges. And also, if you want to for work permit, there are two stories. Like, one is open work permit, for example. One is closed work permit. I had a closed work permit, so I can't legally work for someone else. I wasn't able to work for someone else, of course. That's also like something problematic. Probably there are lots of reasons to do that, of course, but for a person who was having closed work permit, it's hard to find a job. Like, I was like interested in going to industry at that time, so not all the companies are able to provide you the necessary paperwork to sponsor you. They are like, oh, okay, so we are not that big, we are still startup, or we are this, and we can't sponsor you, sorry. Yeah, whatever. This is how the system is. So you survive somehow if you really wanna like stay, or if you really wanna like do something, and if you just focused, you find your way, of course. I like, for example, I came to Ottawa for my second postdoc last year, and I got another contract work permit, but then I applied for permanent residency, and now I have a permanent residency. Which is good. Now I don't have issues, and like I don't have concerns about this kind of permits, etc. But like,
your mind is free of the bureaucracy of the.
Exactly. Even like when I was in my first postdoc in Montreal, I applied to incubator with a project which is accelerator called Santec. I got accepted for the project, and me and my ex-professor was like, we were co-founders. The idea, I always like the name of the project, Microscobot. It was an amazing name. I still like it. It was a kind of idea that tries to automate microscopy with the AI. I was so involved in the AI, even though I didn't have any expertise. Like, I didn't study AI. I didn't have that much experience. All personal hobby, but I was using microscope, electron microscope. So I was like, why not? Not electron microscope maybe because they're expensive toys, but why not for the like regular traditional microscopes, optical ones? Maybe I can design a system that you can just put your samples and leave for the coffee, and the whole system goes back, forth, right, left, focus, and deal with everything by itself automatically, collect the data. after like a couple of hours, so you have thousands of images. Wow, amazing. You were just drinking your coffee and now after 1 hour, you have thousands of images. So yeah, I pitched the idea. I took I got trained by them like a 3 months. It was like an intensive 3 months program from this in entrepreneurship level. They were teaching you that.
So what were they teaching you? They were teaching you only the entrepreneurship techniques
Entrepreneurship,
or technical stuff too?
networking, how to build network, and how to prepare your minimum viable product MVPs,
Mhm.
what you should have to do, how you can deal with the business plan. They mostly were using lean startup idea, like
Mhm.
don't try to get the perfect product. Just start with something that you can show potential customers, potential
Mm.
investors, that my idea is this, how this is a demonstration. No limit. It can be even, you don't need to pay like it can be cost free. You can just build something, or you can just create a software like, or like what I did was, like, for example, I applied object detection for a video that I created from microscopy. Um, I just applied object detection over it, and I showed that how the objects are like tracked with the algorithm, and how was it moving left, right, and how was it detecting the focus and the system, if not focus, how to align the axis, etc. Like, I mean, I had that. It took me like 5 hours, 6 hours. Yeah, but the problem was then everything went well. Like there were like a lot of brilliant ideas around, so you were also be able to connect with them. You can also, I don't know, like you can, if there's a good connection between you and someone else, you can just, that guy or you can join him, or they can join you.
Yeah. Mhm.
And it's a very dynamic environment. But the next step was you have to build your startup, really officially have to start it to be able to go to the next step. But I couldn't do that because I had a work permit, and there
There you
was
go.
no
Immigration.
way, to start a company. You have to find someone who
Yeah.
has a residency or citizenship that needs to be at least, I don't know, I don't remember exactly the numbers, 20-25% or something like that,
Mhm.
to have that share in the company to be able to like build it. So that was the time, like, oh, okay, so I'm not gonna be able to do anything unless I receive my permanent residency.
Yeah.
Just hold me back for some time, to be honest. These are
Mhm.
all challenges. I mean, cultural, going, immigrating to somewhere else, language barriers, then this kind of stuff. I
The
mean, like
bureaucracy. Yeah. So
bureaucracy. Yeah.
I do want to go a little bit back first and then come back to this. So you mentioned a while back, you mentioned courage, and I think that's a key word in immigration, because um, anybody who's like had gone through immigration will tell you more or less it's not an easy endeavor. Even so, some people have it worse, some people have it better. Some people have a better experience, easier experience. Some people have a more difficult experience. But ultimately, even the ones who have a relatively easy experience is generally difficult because, first of all, you have to move on from something. As you mentioned, you have to put some stuff behind.
Mm-hmm.
Either they're actually, literally stuff like inanimated objects like books and, whatever. Um, or, for example, a job, maybe. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
or they're people that you have to move away from. And it doesn't mean that you don't keep contact with them, but it means that, well, you're not going to be seeing them every day. And then the second fold of that is that there are going to be lots of challenges, as you mentioned. There's many folds: cultural, language barriers, cultural barriers, experiential barriers. Sometimes it's not easy to find the right job in the same industry because um, you don't have the right experience in that country. Now, you may have experiences in other countries, but sometimes they don't translate all that well, depending on the field, of course. Um, so it takes a lot of courage to leave what you have behind. And as you mentioned, some people are forced to move and just go somewhere else because of wars or refugees. So maybe it's a different story there. But for those who choose to immigrate, then it does take courage, because it means that you have to uproot your life, whether it's good or bad, however good or bad it is. Nevertheless, you have to disturb the environment, and I think it takes courage. But with everything, if you have the courage, if you wisely choose and you're courageous, odds are that you're going to get something out of it, either a good result ultimately or a good lesson, even if you fail. So I just wanted to point that out and see if there's anything you want to add on that courage point to the whole story of immigration before we move on to bureaucracy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like if it's courage. In my case, I was planning to like move somewhere like Europe or United States or Canada when I was like in bachelor. That was kind of like my plan already, because I really wanted to have opportunity to build something big.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do it in your own country. Yes, maybe, but the effort, okay, they're not same. Okay, the dynamics are very different. For example, in my country, first of all, there are not much technology companies around. Not, it's like considered like Silicon Valley. I mean, come on, like if you go to Silicon Valley somehow, if you started to become an entrepreneur in Silicon Valley, the network, the people, like what we're talking about here is environment. You need that. You need that. I mean, for example, Canada. In Ottawa, I'm not in Montreal, that there was an environment for sure. But wherever you are, doesn't matter. Like a country-wise, you feel that there are opportunities here. If you have the idea, if you have the motivation, if you have this like, okay, I'm going to do it. If you have this motivation here, you know that nothing can stop you. But this is not the case for all the countries. You have to either be really lucky, or you have to be like, people, really. You have to have this kind of network. Yeah, there are people, of course, they succeed in these countries, of course. I cannot say that, you can't, this is no way. No, I'm not saying that. Of course you can. But I mean, having an idea and to become a giant is more possible here.
Yeah, there's definitely more opportunities. It's more but no, I agree. So I guess there is another element to the courage that you're basically mentioning, and that is, well, first of all, you need ambition. You need a reason to move. Now, in your case, it's ambition. Sometimes it's something else, but in your case, it seems to be the ambition. And I think it's the same in my case. And then you need also to be slightly adventurous, if not extremely adventurous. You need to be at least slightly adventurous to step into the unknown and be comfortable with that. So you take a courage, you take a reason to have to move, to uproot your life. Otherwise, why would you? Well, otherwise you seem to be an idiot. And you need to be adventurous to a degree. Would you say that's probably the base criteria for somebody to immigrate?
Hey, I mean, you're right, definitely. I mean, courageous and being adventurous, I think they all combine the single point, which is, I think, not being scared of failing. If you're not scared of failing, I mean, if you're like, okay, I can fail first time, second time, third time, no worries. This life goes on, and as long as I'm alive and as long as I'm capable of doing stuff, my brain works, or I can do something, as long as I can do that, nothing can stop you. You can fail. Of course, you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail because you're trying something new. If you're not failing, it means that you're not learning and not trying something new. If that means that you're following successful people because they passed this road and they like design how you cannot fail on this road. You're just following it. You're not learning. You're just like what's called, like, you're just doing exactly the same they did, but in a way that when they became successful, you're not taking the part that they failed. But
for
sure, you should be able to accept that you're gonna fail, and you're not gonna scared of that. If you're scared of failing, oh, this is not the correct way you for your life, that you shouldn't maybe immigrate. I mean,
Yeah.
you can still, but you're not
It's
gonna
gonna
be
be
happy.
difficult. Yeah.
Maybe that can
Yeah,
be
I
difficult.
don't think you can really immigrate without failing. Like it will be there. You're gonna make mistakes because you don't know the, as you mentioned, you have the culture shock, you have all these problems that you just don't know a lot of things. Honestly, even if in your perfect environment, it's impossible to not make mistakes and fail, but the odds will be multiplied 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times as much because that's just the nature of things. You're stepping into the unknown, and when there's lots of uncertainty, the chances of making a mistake goes higher, but then that's okay. That should be okay. So that's where, as you mentioned, the courage and adventures converge essentially. And then you need a reason. Now, for some people, it's just ambition or curiosity, or both. For some people, it's just what I want to give my children a better life potentially, or I want this or that. And for some people, unfortunately, it's not a choice. They're forced up. That's forced upon them. Okay, so let's just move on a little bit before we come to the close of this episode. So next episode, we'll talk about a little bit more about the entrepreneurship aspect of it. But I just wanted to address, because we mentioned the bureaucracy. So um, as with all governments, when you deal with them, they tend to be a bit bureaucratic, and that obviously creates a lot of hurdles. Now, one of the advantages of, I guess, specifically United States, and I guess in recent years, Canada, has been that actually they try to remove lots of these bureaucracy to a high degree, or reduce them at least. Uh, when it comes to talent, when it comes to entrepreneurs, when it comes to investors, so that you can tap into a pool of talent and capital all over the world, not only within your own confined borders. And I guess that's one of the success stories of America, that actually United States specifically, I mean, America as a continent technically, but
Mhm.
the United States of America has been, that one of the stories has been that the fact that they were able to attract the best of the best talents all around the world. And they have done that by trying to, specifically in the past, but maybe less so presently, but then Canada is taking that place a little bit. They have been trying to do that by reducing those bureaucracies, because they basically gave people a chance to, focus on your own thing, focus on things that you're actually good at. And of course, there's going to be some bureaucracy. That's just impossible as you deal with governments. They want to make sure that who you are, that their borders remain safe, that you're not misrepresenting yourself in one way or another. So there is going to be a little bit of that, and governments, being the huge entities that they are, they're not really good at reducing these bureaucracies. They actually add to it. That's just the nature of things. Um, so what do you think can be done in the case of entrepreneurship, or generally speaking, talent acquisition, from the standpoint of a country, let's say like Canada, or any country for that matter, that wants to accept immigrant and wants to accept talent, or specific kind of workforce in different industries, doesn't matter. What can be done in your personal experience? Now, you had the experience of Canada, and you had a very specific experience. Of course, I had a slightly different experience, but similar in terms of it being bureaucratic. Um, so what are do you have any thoughts? Have you thought about it? What can be done to, or not specifically, I'm not talking about specifically, like directionally, is there general ideas that you think can help with reducing this tension and allowing talent to just, flourish?
Yeah, I mean, Canada is doing actually good. When I was like in this entrepreneurship program, the last day they mentioned me this entrepreneurship immigration program. I didn't know that before. Like it, you had to apply it. Like we just, I was in Montreal, so the problem was I couldn't speak French, so I couldn't
Right.
apply for the permanent residency. But I didn't know you can apply for entrepreneurship program even within Montreal, within Quebec.
Mhm.
So if I knew it before, but the thing is, like, you have 3 months, but usually it's like takes 1.5 year. So
Right.
in any case, I won't be able to. I couldn't probably get my permanent residency in that case to build my startup. But This is tricky, to be honest. I mean, there are lots of talents around the world, of course. The countries, companies they're fighting to
Mhm.
get these talents. But
That's right.
while you're like, if you make things so easy for people to immigrate a country with talent, of course, is something good, but you have to care about the society also, like
Mm,
who you are like a giving residency. These guys
right.
are okay, talented, but who are they? I mean, maybe they are not, some of them, they are not like, they can be rude, they can make things harder for other people. You never know. I mean, just because they are
In my
talented doesn't mean that they are just
they're
can
good
get along with
people.
other people.
Yeah. In my experience, criminals are very talented, especially the successful ones, but you don't
Oh
want them in
yeah.
your country, right? Okay, so yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
example. You want to make sure that you're letting in the right kind of people and not international criminals, for example,
Oh
who
yeah.
may be very talented, but nevertheless, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
fair
I
enough.
mean,
That
I'm
makes sense.
sure.
I know
Software
it's
level.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, software level, maybe hackers, they mean they're just stealing people's information, credit
yeah.
cards, etc. They are so extremely talented. But then you're saying, okay, so you're talented, come to my country, steal
Yeah.
people here. Like,
No, it is a tricky business. I understand that. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I think overall Canada is not the worst for by any stretch of the imagination. It's doing pretty okay, pretty good overall. Still, I think there are some aspects of the bureaucracy that can be trimmed. If not,
yeah,
again, they're
yeah.
doing pretty good. But yeah, so
Waiting times are long, for example. Somehow,
that's the processing
if this
times.
can be reduced, this
Yep,
processing times, that can be much
yep.
better, of
That
course.
people have options. Yes, you don't have to stress about it. If, for example, you get a rejection of some sort, then you have the time to respond to it in a timely manner. Yeah, I agree. I think that would be probably the best place to start to actually reduce this processing times. All right, we'll continue this discussion, of course, to specifically more on the entrepreneurship side. But before we close, though, is there anything you want to mention that we missed or you wanted to talk about that we haven't?
No, not so far. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's tricky. Yeah, I agree. This everything is tricky. This is tricky for government. This is tricky for immigrant. I mean,
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is not easy for anybody.
Hmm.
Everybody is just trying to make things better.
Yeah.
Immigrants, they are trying to make their lives better, or
Hmm.
they are like me. I mean, they have they have ambition, and they also want to provide a better life for their kids, for their
Yeah.
like their belongings. I mean, so you can do this here, and you need courage. So as long as you have courage, okay, that you can fail. I mean, there are things
Yeah.
that tricky, of course. You can hold you back for some time. You can just get sad, but you have to focus on the future, not the problems. You always have to. You should always have to focus on the solution, not the
Hmm.
problem.
Hmm.
Problem is there. Focusing on the problem is not going to solve the problem by itself. Focusing on
Right.
the solution is going to help you to solve that problem. Most of the people are they miss this part. They just focus on the problem. Oh, okay, I have this problem. I hate this. I hate that. Yeah, I am complaining also. Like everybody complains because it's a good way of releasing
Tension.
energy,
Yeah.
good way of tension.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, the seriously you take this focusing on the solution part more serious. Complaining is something else, but focusing on problem is another thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
You shouldn't focus on that. So you don't need to scared of immigrating. um, just think about what you can achieve afterwards. If okay, let's say that if I immigrate to Canada, I want to immigrate to Canada, I want to move there, and about there these are going to be problem, this is going to be problem. Okay, but think about what you can do here. You can start a business, you can find a very good job, you can do something in quantum computation, you can do something good in AI, you can go to a very high ranking university, you can study neuroscience. I mean, of course, there are like lots of opportunities. You have to focus on them. You have to focus on what you're gonna do next. Yeah, but meanwhile, of course, governments are also struggling how to pick talent and correct people for the society to make the society better. Of course, yeah, because everybody wants to have a society that everybody gets along well, everybody shows respect to each other, like everybody is happy, they can focus only on the things they love, like for example, you AI, me AI, quantum computation, to move this technology, move the science forward. Let's move everything in a better way, like let's focus on how we can make this world better in terms of how we can live better, how we can make the technology better, science, and how we can make more discoveries, how we can go to other galaxies, other planets, how we can colonize them, how we can mine the asteroids. We should focus on this, because at the end of the day, we are just polluting our home with the mining. We need those chemicals, of course, because of many things. But if we focus all together on the future and on the things that we can achieve all together, like on the space, even like in the science tech and anything, art, I mean, everything, just focus on improving things. It is the way how it evolves. I mean, it's the way how it should go, instead of like fighting each other.
Yeah, it has always been. Agreed. That makes a lot of sense.
I don't know how I came to this point, but
no, that's good. Actually, this is something we're gonna continue talking about. The more the entrepreneurship aspect, the innovation and improvements aspect, for sure. So our next episode we'll continue this conversation. Basically, we'll move on a little bit from immigration side, but we'll maneuver more on entrepreneurship and the lean startup philosophy that you were telling me about. So we can delve into that a little bit. All right. So I'm not gonna say goodbye, because we already said that we're going to have that next episode very soon about about the entrepreneurship aspect. But I do want to say goodbye to our audience, and as always, I'm really glad that you guys tuned in, listened to us. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will enjoy the next ones. And thank you, Tugrul, for joining, and until next episode.
Yeah, thank you very much. See you, everybody. Take care.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.